right now we are having discussion round with a student from Society and State programs. So here with me, we are having Phi and Bing. So before we go through the introduction, if you guys are watching us on Workshop, please, there is a Q&A part somewhere that you can just like click on it and ask your questions, and we're gonna answer here. So the floor is yours. Would you guys please introduce yourself? Bing, do you want to go first?
Hi, my name is Bing Hua Liu. I'm from China, and I'm graduated from the Contemporary Asian and Middle East programs. And yeah.
Thank you. And what about you, Phi?
My name is Felicitas. I'm from Germany, and I study politics and governance in the digital age in the first semester. So I'm very new.
Amazing. So when we are like, whenever we are thinking about the Middle Eastern Asian studies, would you please just briefly tell us about what does this program about, and like what is the general thing about your program?
So I think like the most things like you could learn about the Middle East culture and Asian culture. So it's really good. So if you haven't really learned things about this, you can get a basic knowledge about it. And then if you are getting more interested, you can maybe think about it in the future. You want to go for deeper studies of PhD. So yeah. For me, I think it's attractive for me because like I want to learn what is perspective, even though I'm Asian myself. And I want to learn about what's the perspective from the European countries think about the Asian Middle East culture. Yeah,
that's right. Thank you. What about you, Phi?
It's called Politics and Governance in the Digital Age, and you have to specialize after the second semester in either one of those. But after the first semester, I can just say that you learn a lot about, yes, political processes and governance processes, but there's a very good focus on like the digital age and innovations happening in Estonia, for example. So overall, you not only learn about the processes, but also where they're applied. So it makes, of course, sense to have a background in politics, but it's also pretty approachable for everybody else. And I very much like it so far.
Good to hear that. Bing is actually a graduated student, but would you please tell us why did you choose to study at the University of Tartu?
Well, so I really want to study in Europe, and then so I started to searching all the European universities, and then I found out Tartu University. It's really nice, among my list, and then I find like Estonia is a very technology country, and I think that would be a really good opportunity for me to get to understand the country more and learning about the culture. So and also, I'm really proud to say I think University of Tartu is the best university in Estonia. So yeah, that's why I chose here.
Good. What about you, Phi?
So my decision was a little less like grand, I guess, because I have the privilege of being born in the EU. So I actually knew I could pretty much go to every other country within the EU, given the language barrier. That was, of course, not that many countries in effect, but still I could move everywhere I wanted to. And I really wanted to take up that opportunity to just be able to go somewhere else. And I learned about Estonia in a seminar that I had in my bachelor's, and I always thought it was very interesting because I'm from the south of Germany. You don't really interact with the Baltic countries. I'm close to France, I'm close to Switzerland. So I wanted to go somewhere completely else, and then I just started researching, and I found the University of Tartu, and actually some friends of mine did their Erasmus abroad here, and I liked what I saw about the program and the city.
Nice. So what is your favorite thing about the University of Tartu?
So I'm studying at a smaller institute, so I can't really say anything about the entire university, but I really appreciate the climate within the university. It's super friendly. It's very approachable. You write an email and you actually get an answer in the next 24 hours. And I was not used to that coming from Germany. Yeah, it's bad. But I also like that. I like that yeah, you can basically ask anybody questions and they're trying to help you. And it's also small seminars, so you get to know other people. And so far, I'm really glad I study here.
What about you, Bing? What was your favorite thing about the University of Tartu?
I think it's opportunities because University of Tartu do offer a lot of different seminars and events such as a startup and like the lab you can go in to learn more about the knowledge you didn't know, and also the resource. And because before I didn't in my bachelor's we didn't really have this access to so much articles you can do. I mean, during my study, I found out you could access so many resources. You actually needed to pay a lot of money in there. So in the end, I found, oh, I can learn this for free. I can read those for free. It's amazing. Yeah.
So how would you characterize your program in just 3 words? I know it's very difficult, but just 3 words.
So if I have to say, I would say flexibility and interesting. And that is hard. Let's say opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what about you?
I've been trying to think about that. I guess I would put innovative in there because there's a focus in every class that I had so far. For example, also to have your own project and to develop it with the help of the teachers, and maybe not so much about the content of the program, but supportive, because I guess it's in contact with the opportunities you mentioned, because you get a lot of help with the projects that you want to do. Everybody knows someone who might help, and there's a lot of support just for anything that you want to do.
True.
And yeah, a third one, it's good. I don't know whether I could put it in one word, but it's also challenging. It's not only challenging in the amount of work that you sometimes have to do, but also the things you believe in and to see it from a different perspective. Yes.
Well, nice. Thank you. So what was the hardest part of your program?
In my program, I think for me, because even though I learned about English before, and I have to say, yeah, you mentioned about challenging. Actually, a lot of these classes you do need to put a lot of effort in there, and those reading for me at the beginning I find it really really difficult for me. For some, because when it's related to political or culture, you have to read a lot, and normally the shorter version of the reading is 10 pages and 20 pages English, and I think for me that was a hard part. I take much longer time compared with people who probably has a better language skills, or from the maybe German, they're better at the English. And so I'm really glad I took this, because my reading speed from the beginning, I have to take about 3 to 4 hours per article, and now I can just read one article in 1 hour. So I feel that's the progress, you can really see it. So yeah, I'm really glad that, yeah.
Yeah, true. And what about you? What was the hardest part of your program?
I mean, so far, I think I was actually lucky because my background works so well with this master's, because I studied international relations in my bachelor. But yeah, the readings, it's a lot to read, even if you're faster at it, because you already have that background. Yeah, it's really a lot. And for me, it was hard to switch from having exams at the end of the semester to handing something in every week. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's bad. I think I profit much more from it doing it every week, but it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, speaking about readings and stuff, what are the assignments and exam look like in your program?
So it depends on the class you take, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's mostly weekly tasks or a paper at the end of the class, so at the end of the semester, or sometimes it's a mixture, so you have to hand in weekly assignments and you have an exam at the end, or you have a paper and an exam, but the teachers make sure that they're well that they are put well together. So it's not an entire paper and then entire 1.5 hour exam. It might just be a shorter one.
Yeah, and what about yours?
So for us, it's pretty much similar. And but sometimes we can do like a little project, and then we group up, and then we have to do like a final presentation in the end. And some of these classes, they have an exam in the end. And for language classes, we actually have 3 exams during the semester. So yeah, because like my program, we have to take like a 12 credit for the language classes as well. Yeah.
Nice. So, guys, if you're watching us on Workshop, please, if you're having a question, just leave it on that Q&A box, and we're gonna, check out that one, and we're gonna answer that one. Generally, I know that you guys are having motivation letters for the entrance of the university. So if we do want to speak about your motivation letter, what do you recommend the students to
So
write or something?
I wrote mine a year ago, so I don't know exactly what's in there anymore.
Makes sense.
But I think what you should do, it's not about writing how great you think the university is only, or how great you think the program is only, but really show that you're interested in what's happening and that you have a grasp of maybe what's going on right now. So for example, I remember that I wrote about that I wouldn't be able to decide right now whether I would choose between politics and governance, but I found things interesting in both. So I just explained why, or where my interest came from, actually. And then, of course, you should write something about, the University of Tartu is also actually great and a university to study that. But I think if you're being honest about what you're interested in, and you can kind of show where that comes from and why you're interested in that, I think that's a good way to go. And as always, just check it with your peers. And I think your friends can always tell you when they read something and say, where is that motivation suddenly coming from? But
Yeah.
I could add some for me. So for me, I think you should really just express about yourself in a way, because there's a word like only 5,000 character you can put in there, but I think in the way you should to tell about yourself more, because in the end of the day, for the motivation letter, the university just wants to know you more, and I think. For my cases, I talk about why I choose this program, and also it's an important thing. There's a question in there what is your thesis about? So you really have need to have some task like a targeting in the end. But in the end of the day, you could change your topic in the end, but you really needed to know why you want to learn this program. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe adding to that, I think, it's important about not only why you think the program is great, but why you want to do it. It's not a generic pointing out, okay, the program does this, the program does that, but why do you find it interesting? Why do you want to study it?
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
Yeah, these were very great points to mention. So what is your favorite course in your program so far?
Do you want to go first? I have to think a little bit.
Okay. Actually, there's a lot of interest class. I'll mention one. I had this class. Unfortunately, I cannot record the whole name, but it's about Middle East. And for me, I didn't learn much about Middle East before I studied this, and then we get to touch about the some literature, the art, and some of about the women's right in the Middle East. And then we watching some small movies about it, and then later on we had a discussion about this. And this class is very interesting for me because I really feel like I learned something I didn't pay attention before, and that's. We all know there's issues around the world, but when you deeply learn and discuss about, and then you will it's even more open eyes when you really talk with someone else about this. It's not just you see the news all over the place. Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I think that's also, in general, what I enjoyed about a lot of my classes is that just the exchange you have with other people, and especially a lot of different people that might not come from your same background, whether that's the country or your bachelor's. But I think one of my favorite ones was public governance last semester. And while it was definitely the most work-intensive one I've ever done, I think, it was also great because technically you know how the state works, technically you know how politics works and how new laws get made, how new policies are made. But we coupled that with having to find an example for that every week. So it actually, you didn't only learn about the theory, but you had to apply it. And it was challenging to find a good example every week, but it was also so interesting to learn. Like, obviously I chose a lot of examples from Germany because that's what I know best, but there was a person from Belarus, for example, and she brought examples, or a person from Russia, or just around the EU, around the world. And I really like that, the combination of learning about the theory and then seeing it in practice, and that just is a new level of understanding, I guess.
So we kind of like trying to cover the question generally about the your program, but how is living in Estonia for you, Bing?
Well, I think I like it. Well, the winter is a little bit too long, and like especially I mean, recently like the snow is melting and the floor is getting flooded. It's a little bit messy, but in general, I really like it, and I'm amazing because like I'm from a really big city, a couple millions of people in the city, and like for me, I really enjoy like the space here in a way, and also like for us, like if we go to countryside, and I really enjoy hiking and go to blueberry picking in the Estonia and the mushroom picking, because like for me it's like a fairy tale because like we never really had the opportunity to do that. If we go to hiking in China, like it's more like a tourist places. You have all this the road they build up for you. You only go that way. But I feel like in Estonia, if you go to a forest, you just go any corner you can go. Like it's no road, you kind of just explore, but of course make sure you know how to go back. Yeah.
I escaped the winter for a little bit because I went back home, but I know what you mean about it. I think I mean, I haven't been here this long, but I do enjoy the nature and the countryside. Like where I'm from in Germany, that's actually the case as well, but still it's I have the river directly in front of my house. You can just go for a walk. It's all super easy accessible. You can take the bus to go somewhere. You can take the train to somewhere, and the tickets are more than affordable. You have bikes around Tartu, so if you kind of want to just take a ride outside of the city, within the city, it's all super accessible, and I really like that. And it's also a little cute. It's, I think, the smallest town I've ever lived in. And I like it. It's not small in the sense that nothing is happening, but it's just, a smaller space in general. I mean, at the city where you come from, that's like a huge comparison. But
how to say, there's so much happening. I cannot follow up everything. Like
true.
so much parties, so much events. It's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't even know I registered this one.
But what was the thing that you didn't expect about the University of Tartu? Like, what was the thing that you were like, it was not the thing that you were thinking about?
That's a very good question. Usually when I move somewhere else, I try not to think about too much what could happen, so I don't have too high expectations. So it can surprise me. And I didn't really have an idea of what the program would be like or what the city would be like, but I'm more than positively surprised about like how well it fits me and what I like to do and what I like to study, but also how comfortable I feel in this city. And I think what surprised me most about the University of Tartu, I guess, is like, it seems like a small university, but it has all these different things that you can do. Like, I'm only one of the master programs. There's a couple of master programs out there in English, and more than that in Estonian, and bachelor programs. You can even study medicine and biochemistry, and I don't even know where to study that in this city because I only know my small space, and that already has so much to offer that I don't even have the time to look beyond that. And I think that's what surprised me most. Like, it seems like a small city, but there's this huge opportunity everywhere you go within the university.
We are having a question here. Do you feel safe in Tartu?
Yeah, I think in general pretty safe. For the security reason, like for social security, like I feel like Estonia is a pretty safe country. You like I guess like it depends on which country you comes from, and I don't feel scared walking in the street in the middle of the night at all. And but I know in some countries you might don't want to go out at night, and also like I didn't really heard so much about like a crisis around like maybe I don't know, but like in general I do feel safe. Yeah.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah, and Fee, for you a question like I know that you're like staying in a dormitory. How is the life in a dormitory for you?
Well, it depends on in which dormitory you live. I live in the one where you get a place basically only if you're here for as a degree-seeking student, which basically means you do your entire bachelor's or master here. And I love it, actually. I'm positively surprised at how much I like it. I've never lived in a dorm before. But the rooms are super generous. The kitchen is a little tiny, but you're usually sharing that with only one other person or two other people, and that's negligible. Because the bathroom is also more than okay, and you have everything. You have a washing machine. It's a 10-minute walk to the university. The rent is more than affordable, and I know there's a room downstairs to play like table tennis. I've never visited it, but I see a lot of people playing there. And you have like a basement to store your bike and everything. It's I'm really positively surprised. I really like living there.
Good to know. So for the last, for the last thing, for like to end this student discussion today, I just wanted to know, like, is there anything that you would like to suggest to the students that they want to apply for the University of Tartu and they want to study your program in future? So is there anything that you would like to tell them? And we are having a time. The floor is yours. Bing, do you want to go first?
So for me, I think everyone really should looking carefully of the information on the internet, like on the website. I mean, because I think the website is very information provided. Like they provided all the information you need. Maybe you need a little bit of effort to find it, but don't panic. Like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. What can I do? But like there's solutions on the website. And another thing is like don't afraid to try. Like like you're applying, there's nothing much to lose. Like be confident to yourself. And then I think that's also very important, especially for this program who has to have this face-to-face interview. Just be confident. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would say the same. Like the website is super informative. So if you have any questions, I know I had a meeting last year, I think, with the international student ambassadors or something. That was super informative. They also answered questions about like how living expenses work in Estonia and how to find accommodation and all of that. So definitely be aware that that is happening, and then you can participate in that. And for the studies, like, don't go crazy. Like, if you had a bachelor's in a relevant field, and even if you didn't, you're more than capable to catch up. You don't have to worry about being or having too little experience in something. They're very helpful if you want to catch up. You have to put in the work, but there's definitely a lot of support for you if you do want to study something like that. Like, we have somebody in our program who studied philosophy in her bachelor's, for example, where you might say, okay, why politics and governance afterwards? But it's more than doable. Yeah, and don't be afraid. Just try something new and test your own limits. I think it's also moving to Estonia, maybe even if you come from the other side of the world or a country that has maybe no obvious ties to Estonia. And it's great. I think you should definitely try it.
You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much, Guy, for tuning in. I hope today's student discussions and all the information were useful for you. We're looking forward to see you at the University of Tartu. And have a nice day.